Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All praise be to the Almighty, the most merciful, the most gracious. May the peace and blessings of Almighty Allah be upon our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Welcome to a special webinar from the Association of Muslim Schools on the recently revised guidance working together to improve attendance. Many of you will know me already. My name is Hasina Baracha. I'm an executive head teacher, advisory head, and a member of the Shura of the Association of Muslim Schools. And so today, for the next hour and a half or so, inshallah, bi'iznillah, we're going to be going through with you the revised document, the changes and the implications upon our schools. So what's changed and why? The DFE published Working Together to Improve Attendance in May 2022. And it's come as a result of school attendance having a much sharper focus given the disruption that was faced by so many of our pupils due to the pandemic. The guidance applies from September 2022 and replaces all current guidance. It is non-statutory currently, but our government expects that guidance to become statutory in September 2023. The guidance makes clear what schools and others must do to improve attendance. So the expectations includes all schools to develop a whole school culture that promotes the benefits of high attendance, that schools must have a clearly written attendance policy, that they must have clear day-to-day processes to track and follow up absence and poor punctuality, and apply these robustly. Schools must monitor and analyse data so that schools can rapidly identify those pupils that are in most need of support. And schools are expected to engage with families, understand barriers to attendance, and work together to remove them. The guidance expects schools to also provide additional support to pupils with medical conditions, medical needs, or those with special educational needs and disabilities. There is a much greater emphasis and importance to sharing information and working collaboratively with all partners in order to ensure that attendance is of high importance. And the guidance pays particular attention to those who have persistence or severe absence. And as a result of these heightened expectations and greater focus on particular areas, there are of course greater expectations on key stakeholders, and that includes governors and trustees within your schools. Local authorities will now play a much greater part, and I'll be talking about this in detail later on in the webinar, and greater expectations on parents as well. So why good attendance? Good attendance, as we all know, enables our pupils to achieve their full potential, but really much more besides. School attendance is a powerful predictor of student outcomes, and regular school attendance patterns encourage the development of other responsible patterns of good behaviour. We all know, and we've known for a very long time, and research has continued to prove that a child receiving a good education gives them the best start in life. And we, of course, want that for our children. And of course, it is upon that secure foundation that future successes will build. So we now have, or we are now in receipt of working together to improve school attendance, the guidance that is statutory from September 22. That replaces the old guidance, which was just called school attendance. So just the title change will tell you, colleagues, how things are shifting. So school attendance has been replaced by this document, and we have an additional supplement, the summary table of responsibilities for school attendance. If you've already had a chance to have a look at this document, this additional supplement, it may be helpful for you to have it with you as I go through the changes, the expectations, the greater responsibility on stakeholders. Because actually, although there is a very useful list of responsibilities within this document, I feel it falls short, and that you would want to add on to what's already been provided to help you to really have a clear idea about the expectations that there are going to be for you as leaders in your schools, and what you need to be doing to ensure that you are meeting the expectations that we've briefly spoken about. And inshallah, we'll be going into much more detail throughout this webinar. So this one is no longer going to be valid from the start of the academic year. Okay. I've also included in this webinar, colleagues, some helpful webinars that have been released alongside the guidance that the revised guidance that we've now received from the DFE. And you may want to listen to these in order to help you to prepare for September. So the first of these is, what does the new attendance guidance mean for schools? Provides a summary, a bit like what I'm going to be doing today, to help you to address those changes and become familiar with what's required of you as school leaders. Working with families is a really big part of the revised document, and there is a separate webinar on working with various stakeholders that you, again, might find useful. There's a separate webinar for governance, because because effective governance, of course, will support strong attendance, and there is a much greater expectations upon our governors, as there is in various other publications that we've had, including Keeping Children Safe for Education, and this may be helpful for members of your governing body and Board of Trustees. The DFE have invited some schools to share their practice, and this you will find in what does the new guidance mean for schools, attendance coding and day-to-day processes. Colleagues presenting on this webinar are from our mainstream schools, and the webinar will be helpful for you. But of course, you're going to look at what's possible for you to do within your own school setting. Some of our schools are quite small, and we won't have the wide range of resources available for mainstream schools, but certainly you'll be able to get a clear idea on the kinds of processes that go on day to day to enable attendance to be a high priority, and you'll want to perhaps look at how you can incorporate some of those into your school practice. Earlier on this year, the department also released a good practice webinar, which again you may find useful. There are two other documents that I'm now going to just bring to your attention. The first is Improving Attendance, Good Practice for Schools, and again this provides different techniques for supporting attendance or improving attendance rates in schools. Improving School Attendance Support for Schools is again a very helpful document. This was released actually when the revised guidance was issued, but that actually has subsequently been updated. So you can see that it was in August, and I'm in the middle of August now recording this webinar. So quite recently, we've had a revised, updated document, and this is going to be really helpful. I think this is a really good document that leaders may want to look at as part of making those revisions to attendance practice and policy and procedure. If you were to compare the two documents, the previous guidance that we had and working together now, you can see just from the contents page that there's a very different setup.